All right, so before we jump into this, I just want to say I don't want to be spoiled more than I've already been spoiled by our script leaks and stuff like that.
Don't worry. No spoilers from me.
All right, so this is Yanni's spoil-free review of Mortal Kombat, the movie 2021.
Okay, so I was lucky enough to go and see the movie. I broke all my rules and actually went to the cinema. I must say, it was actually pretty well done in terms of social distancing.
How'd it feel to be out in the real world again?
I saw these things. I think they're called people. It was really weird. No, but it was pretty. I felt pretty safe, to be honest. So that was good. Everybody was masked the entire movie, which shocked me. Apart from when they ate snacks. So anyway, there was a large enough gap between everybody, and I was all the way off in the corner. So I was happy. But yeah, so the movie. I think the best way to go ahead with this at first is maybe ask me some questions. I want to be safe and make sure not to spoil anything for anyone.
Yeah, okay, you. Well, let's start with this. I mean, how close was the 2018 script that we released with Mr. Midnight Owl?
There were definitely some differences between the two.
Uh-huh.
And we are going to have a fun time analyzing those differences when he rejoins us for our full movie review. Definitely. That's going to be pretty interesting to see the differences between them. But
does it hit the same main beats though throughout the movie?
It does, yes.
Okay. Well, did you like it?
I did. I had fun with it. I also had my issues with it, which sadly, I'm not gonna, what's the word? I'm not gonna lie about my experience. You know what I mean? Just to be overly positive about it. It was a very fun movie. I definitely enjoyed it. But even during the movie, I found myself like, what? But
at the same time, I mean, you're so heavy into the lore that do you think that impacted how you watch the movie?
That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Without spoiling anything, my problems weren't actually with the lore.
Oh, really?
Yes, that is saying something for me, as you all know. I went into this movie trying to be as impartial as possible. I really did. I was extremely excited to go in and see it. The fact that I even left my house for something other than work shows that. But I went in and I understood that this is going to be a whole separate sort of take on Mortal Kombat. And I appreciated that, yes, there were a couple of issues with lore, but I knew that this was just a different vision, Yeah. Okay. Movie started. Great first scene, which many people have, seen sort of discussions on, because we did have everybody who got to see the first 15 minutes of the movie for some reason that we spoke about on our last Pussy Tuesday. And that scene was, that whole sort of scene was very, very cool. I really enjoyed that.
And that's the whole Scorpion Sub-Zero, or the Scorpion in feudal Japan fight scene, correct?
Yeah, that is it, yes. See, I'm not going to say what things happen. You tell me, and then we'll go with that. Because in case I say anything.
I think everybody realizes that's at the beginning of the movie.
Yes. So that was a pretty good scene. I quite enjoyed that. The fight scene is crazy. Really good. And I found myself saying that for most of the movie.
Regarding the fight scenes, I mean, we discussed earlier how we expected this to be over the top with its gore and grotesqueness and kind of focused on that. Do you feel like the movie did that, or did they do just enough like John Wick style to keep you entertained?
Okay. The gore was definitely an aspect of the movie which was extremely strong. You could tell they focused on that. Okay. At times, so I found myself watching fight scenes thinking, this is Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
The actual, not just the gore, the brutality, of the fights themselves. Especially for certain fights. I found myself watching it and thinking, yes, this is what I want to see. And Mortal Kombat fans who really like that aspect of the franchise will definitely enjoy that.
Well, that's interesting to hear you say, because that was one of our concerns on some of our past Bitesized episodes, was that they're just focusing solely on the gore and taking away a lot of what actually makes Mortal Kombat. But you felt like they kind of nailed that brutal aspect of Mortal Kombat?
That's sort of, yes, but the direction I'm going in is actually, I felt that in the end, our concerns were the correct concerns.
Okay.
Yes. So again, without spoiling, certain fights, the gore really added to the fights themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other fights, I felt they overshadowed them.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to be very choosy with my words here, you know.
What about the whole setting Mortal Kombat in the real world? Do you feel like they can fade a realism to it while still incorporating the fantastical elements of Mortal Kombat?
Yes, I actually thought they handled that quite well. We've all seen, you know, well, we've spoken about it too. The interviews, I think it was with Todd Garner, about how he mentions the whole Arcana thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of kept the movie grounded in a way which, you know, it did fit. I do feel that like the addition of Arcana was quite unnecessary, and they could have just gone with something like, you know, Chi or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it did help the movie sort of maintain that grounded atmosphere, which in my opinion, it didn't actually need, because I felt that they handled the fantastical aspects of the movie quite well.
What about everybody's acting? You know, there have been some criticisms from some of the clips that we've seen. Some people don't like some of the characters' actings, the way that they act throughout the movie. Do you feel like they played a good character, or do you feel like they were just kind of faces and martial artists that were chosen to be in this movie?
I feel like everybody who was picked handled their role from the script very well.
Okay.
Now, I mean, okay, so my favorite, you won't even guess this. Who do you think my favorite performance was in the movie?
Raiden.
Nope. One more guess.
Louis Tan.
Kano.
Oh, see, okay. I kind of actually expected that, because there's been a lot of talk on the internet about how much they enjoyed Kano in this movie. And
Kano was very good.
We spoke about Kano's role in the past, about how he is the comedic relief. Do you think that took away from what we know of Kano, or do you think that they still wrote a good Kano with him being the comedic relief of the movie?
I felt that they captured him very well based on what they had given him to work with for the movie. I think that this was an amazing Kano. And I say that he was my favorite performance. I really liked Joe Taslim. I really, really liked him. He did a great job. Again, every time I say that somebody did a great job, it's with what they were given for the script. Okay.
So you keep saying that. Do you feel like Greg Russo created a good script out of what was given to him? Because we know this is like he's like the 5th or 6th writer that's come on board to punch up the script. Do you feel like what he was given, he turned it into something that's, as we've said in the past, like turning shit into gold?
He definitely turned shit into something. Let's go with the fact that it honestly, based on the early versions of the script, it was shit, right? Now, what he ended up doing with it in comparison to what it was before, you could definitely class it as gold, for sure.
Oh, nice.
But you could also see that comparatively, exactly. But you could also see that if he had been given the freedom to work with it from his own sort of origin of the script, rather than, you know, taking somebody else's and fixing it up, there were a lot of scenes where I felt they were completely unnecessary, and you could tell that they had carried forward from those past scripts. It seemed like it was too late to get rid of them.
Do you feel like this is a predecessor to a real Mortal Kombat movie, like almost like a prequel before they go into the meat of it? Or do you think they would continue down this route of how this first movie was made?
I could definitely see them continuing down this route. This one sets the tone.
Okay.
Like, the movie itself was a fun Mortal Kombat movie, and it's sort of it sets it up quite well initially. Like, I genuinely do not think that Cole Young was necessary to keep to get the audience into the Mortal Kombat story.
Oh, really?
They handled that very well with other aspects of the movie. Again, without spoilers.
That's very interesting to hear, especially because there's been so much emphasis on that's why he's in the movie.
Okay. Let me get this straight before we continue. Cole was very good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look who's playing him. But as far as like what the audience needs to follow the movie, you don't feel like he was a necessary addition to the story? Completely unnecessary. Now,
in terms of following the movie.
That's coming from our lore master. I mean, take a break from what you know of Mortal Kombat. Do you feel like you would have followed what's going on if Cole had been introduced?
Like I said, I went into that movie completely impartial. Okay. With regards to the differences in lore, I had no issues at all. I could understand they were going through a different a different vision. They wanted to tell a different story whilst maintaining the original core aspects in some manner of Mortal Kombat. Now, do I believe that somebody who had gone in to see the movie without any prior knowledge of Mortal Kombat would have understood it? Yes, I do. Do I believe that they would have been able to do that even without Cole Young being the character which sort of grounded the storyline and told the story to the uninitiated sort of viewer? I do believe that he was unnecessary. I believe that aspect of his role was completely unnecessary. So on the actual performances of each of the characters, each of the actors for the characters, as I said, Josh Lawson as Kano was, in my opinion, the standout performance of the entire movie. He was amazing. I really, really enjoyed watching Kano. And as everybody who's been watching knows, I'm not a big fan of Kano and, well, the Special Forces. I've always wanted, say, like other members of the Black Dragon or even the Red Dragon to come in and get more of a spotlight. But I believe that he truly did Kano justice in this movie. Jessica McNamee was amazing as Sonya Blade. I felt like I was watching Sonya from pre-reboot era.
Oh, nice.
And that's a good thing because I believe that that's when Sonya was best.
Yeah.
Jax was pretty good. Could have been more involved, but Mehcad Brooks did a great Jax. That is something for sure. I believe that he sort of suffered as a result of Cole Young's character being taking the spotlight for certain moments in the movie. Joe Taslim, as I said already, amazing. Sub-Zero, amazing. Like, I really enjoyed every scene with him in it. You could tell that his fight scenes were properly done. Like, they really took the care with those fight scenes to make sure that they looked perfect, and I really did enjoy them. There were some supporting characters who I felt were unnecessary. I think we've all seen the trailer with Emily, Cole's daughter. We were laughing about the whole that symbol. What is it? It's a birthmark. What? She was born with it. Like, even in the movie, I laughed at that. You know, I straight up laughed out loud. It was so stupid to hear.
Do you think she was?
I feel like. Sorry.
Do you think she was needed for the script?
Not at all. Okay. No. Sorry. No. That's a bit unfair, I think. Was she needed for the script? Technically, no. Technically. But I can see them arguing certain aspects of it where she would be necessary, which I can't say without spoiling anything. So I guess based on that answer, you could say that technically, yes, she was needed for the script. But I believe that it could have been turned in such a way where she wouldn't have been necessary. She was part of that whole keeping the audience involved in the movie and all that kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? It's totally unnecessary for a Mortal Kombat movie.
When I see the trailers, I kind of imagine her as like Penny from Inspector Gadget. Oh, wait.
Not sure.
Don't get that reference, do you?
I know Inspector Gadget, but I don't know Penny.
Oh, it was like his little niece that, you know, would follow around on all of his adventures with her dog and would just kind of be in the background doing stuff.
See, she was quite involved in Cole's scenes. Yeah.
She was fighting and stuff.
No, I'm not going to say she was fighting. She totally just, destroyed Shang. No, I'm joking. No, but I just believe she wasn't necessary. But hey, that's the route they took. Raiden, this was a very interesting take on Raiden. I think that Tadanobu Asano was a very good Raiden for the script they've given him. It was really cool to see, and I would actually really like to see more of him.
That's cool.
Hiroyuki Sanada, wow.
Oh, of course. I mean,
yeah,
every time.
Wow. I can't say much more. Like, you've seen the trailer, you know what to expect. He was amazing. Shin Han as Shang Tsung, again, with the role they gave him, very good. I think that he's a very good casting choice, but I do believe the script could have used him better. Luli Lin was, I thought to myself during the movie, this is Liu Kang.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was really, really good. Interesting sort of spin on Liu Kang too, again, without spoiling things. But he was really cool to see. And he sort of serves as, I guess, the guide in a way for an audience, more so than Cole at times. More so than Sonya at times. It was pretty interesting to see his role. Max Huang as Kung Lao. I definitely got Kung Lao vibes from him. He had a very good performance. It was nice to watch him. His fight scenes were really, really cool. You could tell that he was inspired by Mortal Kombat 11's take on Kung Lao in terms of lore as well as in terms of just fighting. but he was really cool to see.
Did we get cocky Kung Lao or did we get mysterious Kung Lao?
Bit of both. I would say more cocky, but I would say definitely a bit of both to an interesting degree. I would have liked to have actually seen more from him in this movie.
Well, they've come out and said that they want to make the actors for Kung Lao and Liu Kang have said that they want to make a Shaolin Monks spin-off movie.
I did not see that. We're going to need to discuss that on a different Toasty Tuesday for sure then.
Yeah.
But I would love to see them do it.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like they'd be a good pair.
Now, I'm not going to talk about the villains too much because I don't want to go into too much detail. This is something that I believe that everybody should see rather than hear from me. So the most I'm going to say is CC Stringer, Nathan Jones, Daniel Nelson as Cabal, Mel Jarnson. I really would have hoped to have seen more from how they were used, but I was most impressed out of the four with Cabal. Cabal was really, really good. Cabal was easily my favorite performance from the villains. Mm-hmm. And I a couple of other things that I won't mention just because I don't want to spoil their sort of appearances. But all in all, a good performance from pretty much the entire cast based on what they were given to work with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I kind of want to ask one more question before I go into the more spoilery questions that I have.
Sure.
Do you think this was, or do you feel like this was a Mortal Kombat movie?
Yes.
Well, there it is.
I would go see it again. Mm-hmm. I definitely had fun. I still, as I said, have my criticism of the movie, but I do believe that with what we got, you could tell that, like, okay, you asked me if the lore differences got to me, if I wasn't happy. That was not a problem. Honestly, if anything, I was impressed with the knowledge of the lore that they showed through the movie.
Oh, cool. And I'm sure that's
you could tell that they had been doing their research.
Yeah. And I'm sure that kind of came into play with a lot of these script and punch-ups that we've seen too.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Well, that's good to hear. So Mortal Kombat 2021, it's out now in the rest of the world and will come out in April 26th in the US. No, sorry, April 23rd in the United States. So get your tickets.
Pushed back by a week?
Yeah, so now it's April 23rd.
Oh, so it was releasing quite late in the first place.
It was coming out, I think, on the 14th over here, or 15th, something like that. But
okay,
yeah, now it
came out on the 8th over here.
All right, so I'm gonna, if you are listening and you want to go into this movie without any spoilers, I'm gonna let you drop off, and I'm gonna ask a couple spoilery questions just based off of some of our previous episodes and some of the stuff that our Realmcast listeners know from our previous interviews with various people. So, let me see. First off, let's see where do I start? So my biggest question is Cole Young. Is he Scorpion?
You're asking me spoiler questions. I'm still going to answer them in a way which is as little spoiler as possible. Okay. No. Okay.
Let's see. We can kind of tell from the previews that basically all of our secondary characters are basically cannon fodder. I mean, we see Reiko probably get his head smashed in. We see Melina get her gut blown up. We see Cabal get taken down by Liu Kang's fire dragon. I mean, do you feel like these are all throwaway characters, or do you feel like they made any kind of real impact in the movie?
The only character from the quote-unquote fodder who actually had some form of impact on the story, in my opinion, was Cabal.
It was Cabal. I did not expect you to say that. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked myself.
Not Melina?
She had even less than Cabal, in my opinion. She had a small impact.
That's so interesting. Okay. There is a lot of rumor going out right now, and I just want you to go ahead and debunk this for everybody. Sure. There have been people who are pointing out that Kung Lao is wearing a red sash and that Liu Kang's head bandana is red. And so they are guessing that Liu Kang dies and Kung Lao puts a red sash on in order to memorialize Liu Kang. Can you go ahead and shoot that down for everybody?
I'm not going to shoot that down.
Are you serious? Yanni?
That doesn't mean that, that's not a yes or a no. But that I feel like even answering that in any way could give rise to certain type of spoiler for specific people who might find that sort of thing a spoiler. I'm not going to answer that one.
You're such a tease. All right. So
you will love it. But I can tell you that we're definitely going to have some fun discussing topics revolving around that.
Is Cole our hero of the story? I think that's a good thing to answer. Not just our protagonist, but the actual hero.
Okay, so their handling of Cole was in the sense that he was supposed to be the hero, right? Now, initially, I got the vibe that they were trying to... Okay, it seemed like they were conflicted in how to portray him. It really did. Mm-hmm. So he starts off with them trying to make sure that he is definitely the hero of the story. But then towards the middle of the movie, you don't really see that anymore. Mm-hmm. But then towards the end of the movie, you do, but you don't.
Okay.
I'm trying to answer this as teasy as possible without telling you a straight up yes or no.
Do you think there's any chance for some of the fallen characters we've seen to come back in the sequel?
For any of the following, you can ask me specific characters or any of the ones who were in the movie.
The fallen characters, the ones that have died.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think, but I mean, I don't even know what else to ask at this point.
Okay.
Because I'm avoiding spoilers so much.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. Is there any specific character you'd like to know something about?
Does Sonya put on a white tank top and cargo pants and mud wrestle?
She's the only one who doesn't mud wrestle. But she does wear a tank top.
Oh, good.
Honestly, I was quite impressed with Jessica McNamee's performance with Sonya Blade. Honestly, as weird as this sounds, I really enjoyed Kano and Sonya's performances a lot for this movie, and that's coming from me.
Show stealers, aren't they?
Again, you would think so, but the way they wrote the movie, the way the pacing felt in the movie was that they would sort of introduce each character and give them their own moments.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Okay, if anybody stole the show, it was Kano.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, let me ask you this. So, most of the topics that we've discussed in the past, we have episodes for that. So I'm not going to kind of jump back and retread ground because that's not what our listeners want to hear, because that's why they subscribe to us. They can just listen to the episodes and find out these questions and these discussions. So let me ask you let's talk a little bit about Nitara. We've confirmed now that Mel Jarnson is not playing Kitana, but is actually playing Nitara via IMDb and things like that. So she is the face of Nitara while her stunts have been contracted out to somebody else. Somebody else being Alyssa Caldwell. So did you like Mel Jarnson's Nitara?
I liked the look of her Nitara. I did want to talk about the fact that we initially had it down that Alyssa Caldwell was going to be Nitara. So and then we initially thought...
She's only doing the stunts for her.
Yes, sorry, I meant in terms of the face as well. Because you and I remember on that Tarkatan Bitesize episode, we were discussing how we were happy that they were getting stunt actors and actresses to, not just do the stunts, but also to actually get involved with the movie. We thought that it was giving them a chance to shine in both senses, right? Rather than the stunt acting department.
They still kind of did for the main characters. A lot of these martial artists have been doing stunts and stuff for a long time. But yeah, unfortunately for Nitara, she also has a face model.
Yes. So, okay, Nitara, what was your question specifically so I can make sure to answer that?
Oh, just did you enjoy the performance of Nitara and how they conveyed her?
No, she was my most disappointing aspect of the movie.
Well, because her fight scene was too short, or just
her scenes in the movie felt how do I answer this? The movie did not need Nitara.
Oh, okay. I mean, even for an extra
in terms of pacing, in terms of the fight, the fights, what she did in the movie, her scenes themselves were just there, right?
Yeah. And, it's interesting to say that because we know they've cut off other scenes like Rain, for example, out of this movie because it impacted the pacing so much. So I must
say, I'm so glad they cut off Rain. Honestly, I believe that a character like him needs a lot more of, needs a chance to make an impact, as well as needs some sort of background to him. In this movie, obviously, based on the trailer and everything we've been hearing from Todd Garner, we have the focus on the sort of tournament itself regarding Earthrealm and Outworld, right? Mm-hmm. And if they had placed Rain in this movie, he would have just been another Outworld resident, as they sort of I don't know if you remember on one of our Toasty Tuesdays, we discussed how Nitara was being looked at as sort of like an outworld.
Yeah, that's right.
Sort of denizen.
Right.
Yeah. So I would have been worried that they would have done the same thing to Rain. And I believe that Edenia popping up in detail in future installments of the series would allow for Rain to get much more of focus in the movie.
Did they acknowledge Edenia in this movie or any of the other realms?
They acknowledged the realms.
Okay. Now,
sorry, I'm going to interrupt because we're still talking about Nitara. I do feel sorry for the fact that Alyssa Caldwell was given that role.
Oh,
that's how disappointed I am with Nitara.
Oh, really?
That's how I'm going to leave it. I don't believe that they did.
Wait, that Alyssa Caldwell was given that role, or that Mel Johnson was?
More Alyssa Caldwell.
Huh, interesting. Because
I'm saying it like this on purpose.
Okay.
Her scenes could have had better choreography. I'll say it like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. And
that's something that I noticed in the movie. The fight scenes themselves sort of started to, in my opinion, I don't know if this is spoiler territory for you.
Oh, no, go for it. It's fine.
Okay, so I felt that the fights were a lot better towards the beginning of the movie than towards the end.
Well, probably the beginning stuff, too, was filmed, pre-pandemic, while the end stuff was not. It was probably in the midst of everything that's going on right now. And then
I don't feel like that had any impact on it.
Okay, interesting, because there are a lot of reshoots
based on what I saw.
Too. You think it was just scripted that way? That the
yes, it was most certainly scripted that way, in my opinion.
Okay.
So other than the main villains, so, as we were saying, Melina, Nitara, Reiko, Cabal, there was one villain who sort of has a cool moment. And that is, of course, Goro, who we get to see charging at Cole in the trailer. Now, it was really cool to see him. He looked amazing. I think that he looked, obviously, with comparing it to the original movie, technology's come a long way since. But Goro looked amazing.
Really? Because in the trailer, he looks very CG, like he doesn't fit, in my opinion.
Well, see, now that you mentioned CG, there was one other character who I was trying to not discuss too much, and that is the sort of the Saurian that we see in the trailer too, right?
Yeah.
I do believe that the design for Goro was really cool, and I don't think there was much of an issue with the CG on him, at least as compared to the Saurian that we see.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is it like
I definitely noticed some of the CG with the Saurian. It was
like 1990s reptile from the movie.
You could definitely tell we've come a long way since. This Zaterran, I myself, I'm not a fan of that sort of look that they've given them, but that's besides the point. In terms of the actual CG, as I watched the movement, I wasn't so impressed. But Goro, you couldn't see it as much. Or at least I stopped looking. So maybe that was as a result of the fight scene, right? But Goro's sort of performance could have been a lot more. He could have been a lot more involved. Yeah, he was cool to see. But for those expecting something like how integral he was to, or at least how integral his scene was to the plot in, say, Mortal Kombat, the first movie, compared to now, I think you're still gonna enjoy the older Goro more so than you would this one.
Okay, so he's not our big bad much.
I'm not saying that either. I just believe that it's how he was used.
Okay. What about some of our other characters that people have been dying to see? I mean, do we see Katana fighting in the background or anything like that?
That's something I'm going to leave for everybody who wants to see the movie.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else to say about it then? I mean, do you have anything else to not say about it? Because you haven't really given us anything.
Well, this is supposed to be a spoiler-free review, right?
I know.
I don't want to spoil it for everybody because, I'm lucky. I get to see it 2 weeks before all of you. And I want to make sure that everybody who does go into this movie has a good time. And I believe that anybody who does go to see this movie will have a good time. I think it's fun. You will have some problems with it. I don't think that the lore will be much of an issue. And I say that as a guy who really loves the lore. You have to go into it with a different mind rather than, this is not going to be an accurate retelling of Mortal Kombat from the games, right? It's as much a retelling as, in my opinion, the first movie was. And we all do have to bear in mind the first movie really did a lot of things its own way, which we all ended up loving, right? So this is a nice sort of start to a Mortal Kombat cinematic universe, in my opinion. It's going to be something different. I think that the runtime could have been a lot longer than what it was, because as far as I've seen, okay, so Mr. Midnight Owl confirmed that the runtime would be around 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think we ended with an hour 50 minutes.
I saw an hour 30.
Oh, okay. Now, here's the thing. In most parts of the world right now, the release that's being shown is a censored version with a smaller runtime.
Is that so? I have not even heard of this. That would make a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
What would they be censoring?
I don't know. Some of the gore and some things like that they've cut out of the movie. So you might have actually seen a reduced version. But yeah, the official runtime is supposed to be an hour and 50 minutes, I think.
Okay, well, I saw an hour 30. Now, I did see a lot of gore, I must say. So if they are censoring anything, then I'm curious about where it was. They could have just made it that the scenes with the gore sort of went on for a little bit longer, each of them.
Yeah.
But the way they handled the gore in the scenes that I saw was good. Now, if the gore makes up 20 minutes of the movie, then that really does emphasize the concerns you and I had about it overshadowing the rest of the aspects of Mortal Kombat.
I don't know. I guess the rest of the world is going to find out here in a couple weeks. Well, okay. So let me ask you this then to kind of wrap it up. How many decapitated heads would you give this movie?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
I'm moving between a 6 and a 7. I've settled on a 6.5, which is a shame. I was hoping to come out of that with with an 8, maybe an 8.5. But my issue during the movie was that whilst I was enjoying it quite a lot, I did look at certain scenes and think, what? You know, like it did in terms of pacing, it did start to feel sort of rushed the further it went on. And you could definitely tell that was as a result of the script sort of changing multiple times. Now, if he just wrote the entire script all over again and just kept those scenes in from the previous scripts, then I ask why. But I don't think that was the case. I believe that he rewrote the earlier versions of the scripts. What we ended up with, as I said, in comparison, was most definitely gold. But I think that if he had had that sort of role from the start, we would have gotten a much more accurate sort of telling of the Mortal Kombat story.
All right. Well, there you have it, people. 6.5 or 7 decapitated heads for Mortal Kombat 2021. Once the movie releases worldwide, we will bring in some of our previous guests, at least Mr. Midnight Owl, and discuss what the movie is now compared to what it used to be, and give our full thoughts on the movie. We didn't want to give away too much on this episode of the Realmcast Tarkatan Bitesize, because we want everybody to kind of go out and enjoy it and like it for the way that they see it.
Exactly. I think you can all tell I've been very, very picky with my words, and there are a lot more ums than usual because I'm trying to be careful for all of you. I want you all to go and enjoy this. I want Fantim to go and enjoy it. And then when everybody's seen it, we can properly dive into it and go all out, you know? But in the meantime, I did want to give you a bit of a spoiler-free review from my end, how much I enjoyed it. And to say it again, I did really enjoy the movie, but I did have my issues with it. But that's to be expected, you know? I would like to say what the cast has done with the movie, what the entire team of the movie, Greg Russo, Todd Garner, Simon McQuaid, everybody involved, I think that they did a great job with it. And I believe that the Mortal Kombat sort of fan base should be very happy with what we got, even if there are issues with it.
All right, so go see Mortal Kombat. The movie premieres April 23rd in America. You can see it in movie theaters, or you can watch it on not IMAX. You could watch it on IMAX, but you could also watch it on HBO Max, April 23rd, 2021. This has been our spoiler-free review of Mortal Kombat. If you haven't had a chance, go ahead and check out our Realmcast episodes, especially our interview with Mr. Midnight Owl, if you want to see how the previous Mortal Kombat script was kind of laid out. And in the meantime, we will be joining you again soon for a Toasty Tuesday and a new episode of the Realmcast that's coming out soon.
All right, so in the meantime, please like, follow, subscribe. Thanks.